Chris, I think it's time for you to tell us a little bit about what's been going on. I'm seeing flight log here. Sorry, I fast forwarded on you. But what's been going on with our helicopter?
Well, I love spacecraft, but I also love aircraft. I'm a big aviation enthusiast, so I'm very interested in what's going on with Ingenuity, that is both a space probe and our first powered aircraft on another world. The main theme here for all of you Ingenuity fans is reassurance, because we have had lots of flights, 29 of them to date, covering 7 kilometers. This is far, far beyond the original mission they'd intended. But in July, we didn't have any flights. And some people were wondering if there was a problem. No, there isn't. Although it's solar powered and there was a little bit of dust on its solar power panels, Ingenuity is just fine. They are, however, delaying a little bit. They delayed through July. They've been waiting until, well, basically right now. August is when they're planning to start flying Ingenuity again. So I just wanted to reassure you that it is very much in operation. The flights, you see some of those just recently. Critical point to notice, we're not just doing demonstration flights up and down anymore with the helicopter. This is an operational mission where it's a full partner to Perseverance. And if you see, it says airfield and then has a letter and then airfield and it's a different letter. That doesn't mean they're connecting through, Atlanta or something like that. These are flat patches of ground, like David was talking about, that are safe to land at. And they are hopscotching from one to another, moving forward and scouting terrain ahead of Perseverance. That's going to continue. I mentioned dust. Martian dust season is in the northern winter and the southern summer for Mars, and that is the conditions right now at Jezero Crater. It's northern winter. So they were delaying a little bit to just have the air clear out a little bit, be a little bit less dusty. So if you are a fan of this aircraft as much as I am, don't worry, she'll be back in action very soon. We're waiting for NASA to announce a date. Now, the dust is a thing, and it can be a big concern. It's a much bigger concern for the second mission I'm going to talk about, which is the InSight lander. The InSight lander, here's a picture of it. It has this strange little thing that looks like, a colander set down on the surface. This is a seismic sensor. The InSight mission was not sent to study what it could find on Mars, but what it could find in Mars. It was our first detailed attempt to understand the insides of the red planet. That's why it's a lander and not a rover. It did not need to rove around. What it needed to do was put the seismic sensor on the surface, like a physician's stethoscope, hold it in place, and listen for Mars quakes. Did they find any? Oh, yes, they did. It's been a very successful mission, and we've gone well over the original span of time that was planned for the mission, but the dust is a problem because this is a solar-powered mission. If you look at a picture here, you can see the solar panels on the spacecraft sitting on the surface. Well, that's when we landed, and this is what they look like today. It's a problem. It's down to 10% power, and they basically are going to have to stop listening for quakes and just stop operating the mission. Now, like I say, that's okay. It's been a nice, long, successful mission, and they have, through the sensor on the surface, detected a lot of quakes, more than 300 quakes, some of them pretty sizable. Here's an example of the spike in energy as Mars shakes a little bit from some activity inside it. Few of the quakes were actually as powerful as magnitude 5 for us Californians. That's almost enough to get out of bed for. And interestingly, a lot of these seem to be occurring in the same place on Mars, the vicinity of Cerberus Fossae, an area of volcanic features that might still be active. Something's shaken up there. So the InSight mission has been a big success. They are in December going to stop actively working with it. But who knows, maybe a windstorm will come through and it'll clear the solar panels and the spacecraft will wake up. NASA will continue to listen to see if the spacecraft can work in the future. But right now, InSight has to be a mission that goes down in the books as a big success. And that's my part of the report on doings on Mars, David.
Well, thank you for that. That rockin' report, that Mars shaking report there. A magnitude 5 earthquake is actually not super small. I was surprised when it measured one of those, and of course, it was right near the end of this mission. So I hope we send more seismic equipment to Mars. I think it'd be good.
There's some big results. They found out that Mars had a molten core. We thought it did. We didn't know. It's a big, successful mission.
Yeah, it really is. Now, if we could get that core moving again a little bit, we might be able to get a bigger magnetic field. But that's a whole other problem. We're not going to drill that deeply anytime near the future. Now, these aren't the only craft that are on the surface of Mars. This really was sort of a Mars surface report. The Chinese sent a lander called Zhurong, I think is how it's pronounced. My Chinese isn't so great, but nonetheless, that mission took this cute selfie. It dropped off a selfie camera, backed up, and took a picture. And that's actually a pretty big rover. Those solar panels are really large. When you see pictures of people standing next to it, it's not a little tiny rover, which is interesting. So, the data here indicate that both liquid water was present where Zhurong is, and that it was on the surface for a long time, so that there are hydrated minerals even where Zhurong landed. So not a lot has been published. There's been some studies, but nonetheless, they're being somewhat secretive about what it's doing. But some of the data that have been gathered have started to show up in journal articles. So stay tuned for more from Zhurong. We're little by little piecing together what that mission has been doing. But their space agency has not been, posting it to websites and just going crazy with it. They're letting their researchers do the research and do the science on it, and then they're writing them up and publishing them in journals.